I'm taking a head of cauliflower and I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to make cauliflower rice. I've never done that before, and I'll see what happens. I'm going to blanch half of it and freeze dry half of it raw. So I just got to get it small enough to fit into that space.
I'm using the food processor with the grater disc in it to cut up the cauliflower.
Make a note, you should let it stop before you take that all the way out. Okay. That's a poor design. There's a space up there that it gets stuck. Who designed this thing? My gosh. I should print something to put in there. That's ridiculous. Okay, so I'll put it in this one.
I'm using the fine mesh strainer instead of the colander because the little particles would just go right through it.
Oh wow, some of those are pretty big shreds. I did not expect that. Okay, we don't have to worry about cleaning it too much because I'm going to put the other half in. Now, I'm going to put that in, if the water's hot, I'm going to put that in there and then into the ice bath. So, what did we learn? To cut these other parts up a little more.
I chopped up the other half of the cauliflower the same way for the unblanched part.
Okay, and then that can go onto a tray. Now, I don't know how much space this needs. Can we get it all on a half a tray and use the other half for the blanched, or should we use the whole tray? So let's dump it out here and take a look. So I saw that this is the way to make cauliflower rice. I don't know. I've never done it before. Let me know if there's a better way. So it's so open and fluffy, you could have this pretty tall. So I'm going to just put it in half the tray and use the other half for the blanched part, and I'll just put a little divider in there. Now I don't want to pack it down, but I do want to kind of get it pretty even. So that part's done. Now I'll get the blanched part on there. For blanching it, I'm going to just leave it in here because the pieces are so small. I'm afraid that they would just go through anything else. So I'm just going to put it in here for just a very short time. I need a spoon. So I can stir that around a little bit. So I just want a few seconds because they're so small. I want it kind of even.
We blanched it for only about 35 seconds and then put it in an ice bath for about 2 minutes.
I'm going to call that good enough and get it into an ice bath to get it cooled so it stops the cooking. So I shouldn't have to dry this out at all because the freeze dryer is going to take care of that. Okay, so this is still very soggy. Definitely looks a little bit different. Okay, so let's stuff a thermometer in there. Now into the freezer for pre-freezing and then the freeze dryer.
I start the freeze dryer at least a half hour ahead of putting the frozen food in so that it'll pre-cool.
Okay, so once again it finished in the middle of the night, and so I just let it shut itself off and it refroze. Now it's 40 below or lower, and I'll just restart it. So add more time, and I never opened it, and then that'll rewarm the trays. Yeah, according to that, it's 59 below zero. So once it rewarms, then I'll be able to take it all out. So I'll give it a couple hours to rewarm. Okay, the freeze dryer is down to the final minute now, and so the trays have already turned off the heaters about 14 minutes ago, so I'm a little later than I like to be. I like to do it right at the last 15 minutes so that the trays are still nice and warm. Okay, I'll get these out, and until I know it's all dry, I'll just go ahead and close it back up so it stays cold. So we got the cauliflower, and this part's been blanched. This part I left raw. I like the looks of this better, so it'll be interesting to see how they rehydrate. I remember when I did big chunks of cauliflower, it was kind of like that too. So that'll be interesting. Tastes like cauliflower. And tastes like cauliflower, so that'll be interesting to see how that works out. So I'm going to keep the blanched and the raw separate. So see how that works. So I've got the scoop. Whoa. Well, I kind of messed with it. So it's a very small amount, so not sure how I'm going to deal with that. All right, so we'll see how that rehydrates, see how it works out. Okay, so then the raw part. All right. Well, that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes.
I add oxygen absorbers to the Mylar bags and then heat seal them.
All right, and then those can go onto the shelf until we want to use them later. Okay, everything's dry. I can start defrosting the freeze dryer. So I do that by putting that piece in there. Okay, and that'll defrost it in just a couple hours. Time to do the rehydration test for the cauliflower rice, or riced cauliflower, or whatever it's called. So I'm going to do 4 little samples. So I have the cauliflower rice that was raw, and I'm going to put it into 2 containers. And I'm going to do half of it with hot water and half of it I'm going to rehydrate with cold water, ice water, and see if it makes a difference. So I'm going to get about half of it in each one, and some of it spill out. Okay, and then the same thing for the blanched cauliflower. So again, I'm going to split it into 2 containers. I'm not going to worry about getting them perfectly even. Okay, so blanched on this side and raw on this side. Then I'll do the hot water. On this side. Okay, give that a little bit of a stir. Well, it smells like cauliflower. Again, I don't know how you normally use cauliflower rice, so I'm not sure how to deal with it. Okay, and then I'm going to use ice water in the other sample and see how those compare. And they're so small, I think they'll pretty much rehydrate in just seconds. So I don't think that's a big issue. Okay. Now, let's see what they look like. Yeah, they look fine. The texture is good. It seems just about as firm as before it's freeze-dried. And usually it takes a little bit of time before the texture comes back. But this is ground so finely, I think it will work very quickly. Okay, and then the cold. I think the cold is mushier. So I think the hot water rehydrated it faster. Maybe not. Maybe it's just that it's better to have hot cauliflower. Okay, they both seem to work well, but I think the hot is a better choice if you want to use it right away. Need salt and pepper. Okay, now the raw, and the difference is still quite a bit of difference. The blanched just looks fresher still. I like the flavor of the blanched better. It tastes fresher. Okay, and the cold. Yeah. The raw ones taste like old cauliflower, if that makes sense. The blanched ones taste fresh. Huge difference. Blanch your cauliflower, that's what I would say. Let's see if I can get it into a more even lighting. Yeah, blanched versus unblanched. I'm definitely going to have to go with blanched. Blanched and hot water, I think. Well, the cold water is almost up to the same crunch level, so if you're going to use it immediately, I think hot's fine. If you've got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I think the cold water works just fine. And the raw, I think I'll see if the chickens want raw cauliflower. Yeah, that is nowhere near. Christopher, how do you feel about cauliflower? Hot,
Those look
cold,
better.
Oh my gosh, no kidding. You ain't kidding. This tastes like fresh, though ground up, cauliflower. This tastes like old cauliflower. This tastes like happiness, sadness. Yeah, so that's the cold raw. Oh, that's too big of a bite, trust me. Yeah, that's better.
So I believe you're starting with the worst possible one, and then this, and then these. So this one, this one, this one, this one in that order.
All that good.
No. And it's pretty much the same except temperature.
Better.
Yeah. And those, I think, with some salt and pepper would actually be pretty decent. It reminds me of cauliflower. You know, ground up cauliflower. Imagine cheese sauce.
Yep, that last one's definitely the best.
Okay.
And it's...
Yeah, so texture-wise, I think it came out very well. In fact, I think all 4 samples are okay texture-wise, but if I were going to freeze dry it or use it in any way, shape, or form, I would definitely blanch it. Yeah, the texture is just fine on the blanched, both on hot and cold. In fact, now that it's had a little bit of time, I think the cold is actually a little more firm now. Yeah, the firm, the blanched, and then rehydrated and cold, the texture is a little bit more firm than the blanched and rehydrated and hot. But there's not a big difference. So those two are not too bad. But they definitely freeze-dried well, they definitely rehydrated well, but don't do the mistake of doing them raw. You won't be pleased with them, I think. And we only blanched them for 35 seconds. And what a huge difference. Okay, next we'll see if chickens will eat raw cauliflower. Cauliflower that wasn't blanched. Bombs away! So the chickens will eat it. However, they'll eat worms.
Yeah, they'll eat anything. They don't know any better.
Hello, chickadoodles.